hear me okay, yes? Okay, right. We'll start it off now then, gentlemen. My name's Keith Greenwood. Obviously, I live in the UK. For the last 30 years, I have been training people on forklift plant machinery throughout the world. I worked for Oman, which is, I worked in Oman, I worked in obviously Iraq, I worked in Tunisia, and I worked in Algeria. I tend to do and go where there's problems and mistakes have been made, and normally I end up training people where things have gone wrong. So the consequences of just today is to have a quick chat, tell you about it, have a quick response and find out exactly what your principles are and everything else. So is there any supervisors there? Or anybody in a supervisory position? No, there's no response. Right, the first thing I think I'll do is I'll put a film on, which obviously we use in the UK. It's the management of supervision and lifting operations. We'll put that on first, and then we'll have a quick chat about it in the after. So 1 second, sorry guys. So in the UK, we obviously work to what's called BS 7121, which is the British standards. The LOLA stands for Lifting Operations, Lifting Equipment Regs, came out 5th of December 98. Also the same as PURE, Provisions Use Work Equipments, also came out in December the 5th, 1998. And there, of course, we have a few overhead cables. The biggest problem with overhead cables on a dump day, that can arc up to 15 meters. And obviously, this person here is going in to meet the supervisor. So when I go to a company or to somebody who's training, the first thing I'm looking for is some kind of certification and a lifting plan. I take the assumption the lifting plans are done. I've got lifting plans, obviously. But I just check the lifting plan and their qualifications and how long they've been doing it. And I also need to see their qualifications. It's okay, people saying, oh yes, I've got qualifications. So as you can see there, there's, I think that's the pre-shift checklist. That's to make sure the vehicle's in good condition. And obviously, one of the things we'll also be looking for is what's called a thorough examination certificate of the plant. Now, the thorough examination certificate should be done every year, unless there's been an accident, then it should be done again. And it should be done, the thorough examination certificate or the pre-shift checklist should be done at the start of the day or the start of the shift. Obviously, in front of you, you can obviously see the lifting plan. So they will obviously talk about the lifting plan, and the things we're looking for is obviously obstructions, runoffs, drains, overhead cables, underground cables as well. And of course, it needs to be signed off. In the UK, overhead power cables, if it's on a wooden pole, that's the minimum height of 16 foot 10, and that carries 415 volts. If it's on a concrete pole, it's the minimum height of 18 foot 10, and that carries 615 volts. If it's in a field and it's metal, it can carry 240,000 volts plus. And obviously on a damp day, that can arc up to 15 meters plus. If anybody strikes a pole, under no circumstances should they get out of the vehicle. The second they get out of the vehicle, they will go straight to earth. The second they go straight to earth, the chances are is they're going to die. And it's no good putting the legs down on soft ground because it's going to sink. Obviously, when these are going out, everything needs to be locked into place correctly. That's the spreader plate. So obviously it spreads the weight of the load. And as we're lifting the vehicle off the floor, we only want literally a couple of inches. Obviously, again, the more stable it's going to be if it's on the floor. So just a couple of inches off there, that's adequate. I've seen people putting it 3 or 4 feet, 3 or 4 feet or 1 meter off the floor. And I've also known vehicles tip over because of this. And of course, once the job's finished, everything has to be signed off. It's no good going away and not signing the work permit off, etc. No point in doing it unless it's done correctly. How are we doing? Can everybody hear me now? Hello? Yep.
Yes,
Can everybody hear me?
yes, I hear you.
Good, good. Okay, right. There's quite a few of you there, I believe. There's nine or 10 of you at the moment. Yes? Hello. Right, let me just have a quick chat then about me, as I explained before. My name's Keith Greenwood. For the last 30 odd years, I've been instructing in plant and machinery. I've worked in Iraq, obviously. I've worked in Oman for petroleum development Oman. I worked in Tunisia. I worked in Algeria, plus a few other places throughout the world. My background, obviously, well, I don't know if you know, but I'm what's called an RTIGB, or was an RTIGB instructor for 10 years. I was also what's called an ITSO instructor for 20 odd years. CMP instructor, and I'm also an AITT instructor. I've also got sitting gills in training and development. So I used to do a lot of MVQs, and the thing with the MVQs, you have sort of in the region of up to 2 years to do an MVQ if it's a level 2 or above. The thing with the MVQ is a lot of it, what I'm looking for is what's called your underpinning knowledge. So there are certain items you have to do. So when I'm in the UK, the first thing we look for when training is we go through what's called the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. Now, I know over there you do Health and Safety at Work Act, and obviously you do OSHA. I have nothing to do with OSHA. I just work solely under the Health and Safety at Work Act. So is there any supervisors or managers over there at the moment? Hello, can anybody hear me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Hello? I can't hear. Hello? All right. Hopefully you can hear me. I'll just carry on from this end. So under the Health and Safety at Work Act 1970. Hello? No, I missed it. I couldn't understand that at all. Right. So whilst we're at work, and obviously while you're planning the work and doing the lifting ups, etc., we need to be working under what's called the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. The consequences of the Health and Safety at Work Act is realistically terms, every manager, every supervisor, every employee has a duty of care. This duty of care can quite easily be broken. And at the end of the day, not only do you have a legal obligation, but you also have a moral obligation. The amount of people that are injured during work and lifting, etc., and working at heights is absolutely horrendous. We get somewhere in the region of, in the UK, of 11,000 people injured a year just from forklifts. The biggest killer in the UK at the moment is working at heights. So while you're working under the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974, there's what's called Section 2, Section 7 and Section 8. Section 2 is a company's responsibility. So is there any supervisor there? Because as a supervisor or a manager, you have a legal obligation to protect the people underneath you. In the UK, if somebody dies because of the company's background, i.e. insufficient training, then the realistic side of it is the company can be prosecuted. In the UK, your fines are unlimited. And what they mean by that, the standard rate at the moment is between 7 and 11% of the total company's turnover. This is because obviously directors and managers tend to cut things short to make more money. Well, obviously, if you are protecting your staff correctly, you spend adequate amounts of money to protect them. And obviously with that, you also have to give them what's called adequate training and adequate information. What does adequate mean? Well, adequate means enough training, enough information, whereas they can go out and do the job correctly without them getting injured. And this is the job of everybody. I go to work with 10 fingers and 10 toes. If I cannot come home with 10 fingers and 10 toes, I don't want to know. Excuse me a minute. Hello? Yes. This what? Sorry? I have. I've let them all in. They're all in there. They should be. Yeah. It says you are sharing. It says you are sharing. I've been talking for about 15 minutes now. Did they see the film all right? Right. Okay. All right. Right. Hello? Hello? Are we there? Hello? Hello? Well, yeah, from here it's telling me you're all in, as it said there. I've got 11 people waiting. It's telling me the 4 participants in the meeting. It's yeah, it says here you are sharing. You are screen sharing. Yeah, yeah. That should be. Yes, I have. It's telling me there. It says there new share. Participants new share. Yes. Yes. Meeting info disabled, hide, chat 22, pause recording. No, it's right. Yeah, let me just have a look. Small screen on the monitor. Doesn't say that at all, obviously, does it? It's coming up as I can see where you're screening, and I clicked on participants. I clicked on that, and it says you are screen sharing. It's telling me I'm doing it. That's what it's telling me. It's telling me I'm doing it. Yeah, just hang on a second. Okay.
Screen.
Yeah, there.
Okay. Calm down. Bring it down.
Me too.
Okay, there should be a participant button. Make your mouse all the way up. Okay. Here participant. Just click on it.
I have. That's what I just clicked on.
The second line.
Yeah. I have just clicked on it. It's just telling me now 10 people are waiting.
Okay, then let them in.
But how do I let them in? Because it's not telling me. Where do I let them in? Invite.
If you click on it, no, not invite.
No.
If you
Right.
click on it.
I've clicked on it. Watch. I'll click on it again. Yeah. It's telling me just.
Okay, let me see your screen.
You see it?
No, bring it down, bring it lower. You know what? Stop the screen sharing. Stop it for now. The screen sharing, stop it.
Stop that one there, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let you see the participants. Let them in.
Right, hang on a second.
Are you right? Are you right?
This one, that one there?
No, are you right? All the way right. That's it. Those are the people are waiting. Click on the link. All the way up. All the way up. Go.
Oh yeah.
See, accept them all or something like that.
Participants.
Yeah, okay. See, there's 2 links there.
Admit.
Do it for all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, just hang on. Yeah. Hello.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes, they're joining. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Okay, I think we could.
Is everybody there now?
Good morning.
Ah, that's better. How are we doing?
Not too bad, buddy. Not too bad yourself.
Yeah. Let me just. Good. That must be James.
It is, buddy. Yes.
Yeah. How are we doing? All right.
Yeah, pretty good, buddy. Pretty good.
Yeah. Good.
Pretty good.
Right. Can you see me all now then? Yeah. Everybody. Yeah.
Yep.
What's your role out there then?
So basically, I do a lot of lifting and at the quayside operations and various other
Right.
stuff around the world. So
Yeah. Ex-army,
just thought,
ex-forces.
yeah, as you can see by the badge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what was
so
you
yeah.
in? Just quickly, what was you in?
Artillery. I was in
Oh,
the King's
right.
Troop Royal Horse Artillery. So
Yeah. So you've been at this a long time then?
just a little bit.
Yeah.
Hi, James.
Yeah.
Hey, James, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Raza?
It's Reza. Yeah, I'm very fine. Thank you. How's everything?
Oh, good, good. I seen
Yeah,
this on the internet the day, and I thought I'm gonna go and have a look.
Yeah, you did the best thing. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
I did, buddy. Yes.
Okay, Keith, we don't
Did
have
you-
your screen anymore. If you just share your screen back and just keep going with the webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, no problems. Right, just to explain who I am. My name's Keith Greenwood. For the last 30 years, I was a registered RTITB instructor for 10 years. I was an MPAWS instructor for 5 years. I was a ITSAR instructor for 20 years. I'm an AIT instructor at the moment. I've also got Sitting Gills in training development. I've also got NEBOSH IOSH, and at the moment I'm doing my level 5 for my diploma. The places I worked in was obviously Iraq. I've done quite a bit of work for this company here. I was also a couple of years out in Oman, worked for PDO, Petroleum Development Oman, and also KG over there doing lifting and training, etc. I've just actually put a film on, but I think we missed it now, but I'll put that on after. I was just basically stating who's actually there. So if you want to sort of introduce yourselves to me, then we'll have a quick chat if that's all right.
Okay, Keith, I'll start for you, buddy. I'm James Feeney. I've been in the lifting industry since the 1990s. Started off building skyscrapers at Canary Wharf. And from there, like yourself, been to various countries in the Middle East, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Oman, Qatar, and doing lifting operations and SLS and LTA for various companies. And I just thought, I know Raza very well. I know Citadel, and I thought I would jump on and give it moral support.
Welcome, obviously. Right, so who else we got there then?
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. This is K1. K1 Zahir, civil engineer working in the construction industry for more than 6 years.
Okay.
And interested really in the lifting that you're opposed to train us in this seminar. And thank you for your let's say initiation. Thanks a lot.
No problems at all. You're quite welcome. So who else we got there then?
Hello,
Hello, Shalom Alaikum.
I'm from Salah Privab. I am project engineer. Thank you for this chance. Sometimes I am responsible for regarding the lifting operation in the oil fields.
Right, okay. So do you know Steve Jandu? No? No? Okay, and who else we got there? Anybody else want to join in and just introduce themselves?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Khalid from Iraq. I'm material controller. I work with the warehousing and it's interested by this lifting operation. It's my job. So thank you for this webinar.
No problems at all. And who else is left there?
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, my name is Hisham. I'm a manufacturing engineer from Kurdistan.
Yep.
And I want to participate this event, and thank you very much.
No problems at all. Okay, right. I think we've had enough information, enough introductions now. What we'll do at the moment, we'll just have a quick chat while we're here and what we're actually there for. The realistic side of it, I'm going to have a quick chat to you about obviously lifting and slinging and all the rest of it. And then what we'll try and do then, we'll put a couple of films on for you. The films I use are HSC. We all know who the HSC is in the UK, yes or no? Yes?
Yeah, but I understand what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, everybody understands well. The HSC is obviously the Health and Safety Executive in the UK. Everything I do is under British Standards 7121, which is obviously the code for lifting. Also with that as well, with the lifting side, when I go out and lifting, there's a few things, the first thing I say. So the first thing I'm going to say to you, who's in a supervisory role there or a managerial role?
It's me. I've been a project manager for 2 years, and I've been supervising on site with BL Corporate International for 1 year. Yeah.
Right. So is there any other supervisors there or any other managers there? Sorry, I can't hear you, K1. Yeah. Okay, well, just say that. Right, let's just go through the first thing then. What's the object of a supervisor and the object of a manager? Somebody come back with an answer. What's the object of a manager and or supervisor?
Well, do you want us to speak or
yes,
let's chat?
No, speak if you like. It's fine. If you speak, everybody can hear. So the object of a manager is to what?
Okay, to ensure that the objects and deliverables of the project to be met in the time and the budget, and to make sure that everything is met within the time frame and in a safe operation, which there will be no, let's say, accident, making sure that there will be no accident through the policies that you will provide and will follow.
I understand part of that, but the object is if I give you a budget of 300 quid, or sorry, 300 pounds or $400, if you can't do the job within that realm, what's the point of doing the job in the first place? So the object of a manager or a supervisor at the end of the day, the object of a manager is to manage, and that means manage safely. The object of a supervisor is to supervise. And the worst scenario is if somebody's injured because of you cutting costs or companies cutting costs or we're not doing the job correctly, the chances are is somebody's going to get injured. Now, we go to work with 10 fingers and 10 toes. We need to come home with 10 fingers and 10 toes, because if we can't go to work and come home with them, then there's a problem. And the problem starts with the managers and the supervisors. Does anybody agree with that, or do you not agree with that?
Do agree.
We all agree. Lovely. So the worst scenario is if obviously if we're lifting something and something's gone wrong, and I've been out and done quite a few investigations on this in my life. The first thing I'm looking for, especially on equipment, is obviously for examination certificates. So we're talking about the LOLA and the PURE. The LOLA stands for Lifting Operations, Lifting Equipment Regs, came out December the 5th, 1998, and PURE also came out. PURE stands for Provisionally Used Work Equipment, and then Lifting Operations and Lifting Equipment Regs. Both came out the 5th of December 1998. Okay, so obviously the LOLA and the PURE side is quite important. Also the machinery. I'm trying to be polite here. There's still companies going about with no full examination certificate on their lifting equipment, like the mobile cranes, and a few of them haven't got it, even in the UK. So when should the full examination certificate be done? Somebody come back to me on that. Aris, are you there?
Looks you got a very quiet audience, buddy. I don't think they're into speaking.
I know, yeah. It's am I speaking too fast for them, do you think, or do you think I'll be
Yeah,
all right?
I would slow down slightly, buddy. It's
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
some
No,
of them
no
need a
problem,
bit of time.
James. Okay, James, right, we'll take it from there. Oh, I've got one back now.
Well, I haven't heard the question clearly. Could you please repeat, sir?
Yeah, I will slow it down. Sorry about that. The problem is we use the UK and we tend to talk a little fast. Right. The first thing, and I've been out to quite a few investigations where machinery is tipped over and people have been injured. The worst scenario is somebody could quite easily die. So the first thing I'm going to ask about is full examination certificates. When should the full examination certificate be done?
I don't have the question. I don't have the answer.
Right, okay. The full examination certificate realistically should be done every year. Now, also, if there's an accident, you need to redo another one because obviously the machinery could have been damaged in the accident. And I did go out to look at a crane that had tipped over. It had been in an accident 2 or 3 weeks before, and nobody had redone the full examination certificate because they didn't think it was necessary. And unfortunately, somebody died.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you as managers and supervisors, not only do you have a legal obligation, but we also have a moral obligation. And people say to me, no, there's no moral obligation. And there is. Everybody has a moral obligation. The worst thing you need to do is to be phoning people up and telling them that their husband, their brother, or whatever has been involved in an accident. It's not good. It's not good at all. Right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So when you are planning a lift or doing a lift, there's a few things we need to look at. Obviously, who's going to do the plans, and obviously when the machine comes on site, the first thing I'm looking for is a full examination certificate. Then the next thing I'm looking for is the bloke's qualifications, and not only the qualifications, but actually who's actually trained him. Because there are people out there that are actually training people in realistic terms who have no experience and no other qualifications. And I think, to be honest, James has probably found a few of those in his time.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? It's absolutely scary.
The key thing what people don't understand is the fact that, as like you said there, but it's like a lot of people don't have the thorough examination certificates for the cranes.
No, they don't.
And 95% of all investigations that I've done, they don't even have the maintenance records for the crane either.
Yeah, well, again, the maintenance records should be kept, and I don't expect to see all the maintenance records, but the realistic side of it, if someone carried them with them, you could have a better check on it. And the problem is it's just down to retraining people, a lot of it. I think it's putting knowledge out there and telling people what they should be doing, and they tend to find it, but it's very difficult, very, very difficult. Right, did anybody not see the film on lifting operations?
Even I missed it, but I didn't get connected in quick enough. So,
right, sorry.
So
right.
that's what I would say. That's been the main for everybody that didn't really get on time.
Yeah, right. Okay, what we'll do, I'll put it back on again for you. It's about a 20-minute film, but it's pretty good, to be honest. So I'll just flick that back on, and I can stop it and talk about it at the same time, if that's all right. Is everyone all right with that? Everybody okay?
That's pretty cool.
Okay, we'll
What's
try
happening,
that
buddy? To give you a heads up, I think what people are doing, they're actually putting in. There's a group chat, and they're just putting "I agree" or "yes" rather than talking. They're just typing in the corner there, buddy.
Yeah. This is a problem. We need to be talking about what we're doing. Right, let me see if I can get this film back up for a second, and then we'll try it from there.
James, I really do appreciate your explanation on the webinar. Thank you. You're doing a great job. Thanks. Yes. Like Keith, if you notice, there's a chat bar on the right. Actually, people are replying to you. I'm trying to compensate. Anyway.
Yeah, let me try and get this film back up first then. There we go.
And we don't have your screen. You have to share your screen, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, you stop. Yeah, you stop your sharing screen.
Right, let me just get that back up there. Right.
Reza, his screen is on and it's shared, but you need to click on his name in order to view his picture.
Right. Can everybody see that or not? No?
No.
No?
Okay.
Right. So where do I need to go on this one? Somebody help me out, please.
Oh, there is a green button in the middle down there says share screen. I believe
Oh,
you
yes,
have to
yes. Right.
just click on it and that's it.
Yes.
When you clicked on it, it asks you if you want to share the whole screen, like desktop and stuff, and you just click the desktop and that's it.
Right. It's saying at the moment share all. Select a Windows applicator, share. There we go. There we go. Does everyone see that now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear it? Okay, I can't hear it my side, but can you hear it?
No, can't hear it yet.
No
Right.
worries.
Okay. I'll put that on. Show volume. I'll just put up the volume. Right, we can have a talk about it and stop it anyway. This is obviously somebody who's come to site. The site manager's there, and obviously the first thing he's looking for is, I believe that's the, for example, that pre-shift checklist of the machinery. And obviously,
that's the CPA forms.
Yeah, that's the old ones. I mean, that used to be called a D98, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have them anymore. Or do you still use them out there?
We still use, there's a similar form we use in Aberdeen, and the cranes have still got them under the CPA regulations.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you see it all?
Yeah, it's all coming through, buddy.
Yeah, good. It's annoying that there's no right. This is what's called the CPCS scheme or CSCS scheme. A lot of companies will only use the CPCS in the UK, although we're finding now that they're tending to use MPAWS as well. I don't know if you've discussed that, James, or...
Yeah, so basically what's happened is now, after the court case of 2014, 2015, CPCS and MPAWS are now accredited under the new one. There's a new ticket coming out in the next 6 months under a new umbrella. So,
But that's also going now, a lot of it, there's also the blue cards finishing now, and it's going over to MVQs, isn't it? Have you heard about that? Yeah, so the MVQ side's coming in. And the thing with the MVQ side, in theory, you can't really fail the MVQ side. It's just a matter, I mean, you can take up to 2 years now to do them.
that shouldn't take that long now, really.
No, it shouldn't, but, you know, there are things that they can do on it. And obviously, I was talking to you earlier, with that side, when I do MVQs, I'm tending to look for what's called their underpinning knowledge. So rather than me ask them questions, I should say to them, what's that bit? And they should be able to tell me.
Agreed, buddy, I agree.
Yeah. But, you know, you also get the bits where, unfortunately, they'll be doing it for years and they don't know what the parts are and what it's for.
No.
So what do you do? What do you use mostly? Slings or chains or?
I use everything, buddy. Everything.
Yeah.
Depending on the job. If it's a legal job at the UK at the moment, on the key sides, we're tending to use wire rope slings as per offshore legislation.
Yeah. But the wire ropes, they do tend to bird cage a bit, don't they? If they're not used properly.
Yeah, if they're not used properly, but all our guys are trained up to a high level, so.
Yeah. So do you employ mostly English people over there, James, or?
they should be able to hear what's going on in the background.
Yeah, but you can't, no?
No.
I don't know what that is. I don't know why that is, mate, because it's definitely, let me try and play with it a little bit. Oh my God. I'm too old for this game.
Gentlemen, ladies and gents, give you a heads up. What's happening now is in the video, a young man is actually discussing with the agent where to site the crane.
Yeah.
And they're now looking at the building, the height of the building, and talking about the wires, the telecom wires and the power wires in the sky. That is the picture they're showing you now, but he's actually looking at on the drawing.
Yeah. The other thing in the UK, I'll just go back on that. If it's on a wooden pole, that's a minimum height of in the UK of 16'10". If it's on a concrete pole, it's a minimum height of 18'10", and that carries between 415 and 615 volts. If it's on a metal pole in the field, that can carry 240,000 volts plus. The realistic side of that is 9 meters clearance. The one in the fields are 15 meters clearance. And the problem is on this one as well, if you catch it and you strike it, do not get out the vehicle. Always stay with the vehicle. Because if you hit the floor, you are liable to go to earth. If you go to earth, the chances are is you're going to die. Now, there is a thing called the kangaroo jump. I don't get on with that at all. The realistic side is to stop with the machinery and phone for help. Do not get out the machinery. What's your feelings on that, James? Hello, can people hear me?
Yeah, we have your voice.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine.
Yeah, I think James is away, I believe.
Yeah, okay, no worries. Oh, that there is a spreader plate. That's obviously to spread the weight of the machinery. And the trouble is people are putting unauthorized plates on the floor where the floor's sinking, and obviously, unfortunately, the chances are is the machinery could tip over. And it has been known in the past. So obviously make sure that what you're doing it correctly.
By the way, I'm gonna mention that this webinar is recording right now, and later after finishing the session, I'm gonna share the link to this recorded session so everyone can review it. Yeah, you will receive an email after webinar. Like every participant will receive that email with the link in it, and you can review it later. Yes.
Yeah, no problems at all. I mean, the films I've got for this lifting and everything else, and the Lola this is just one of probably 25. But the consequences are is it obviously needs to be done correctly. So obviously now you're checking the machinery. Because obviously if the machinery is faulty, do we carry on working? No. If there's a fault, you have to wait. Obviously, again, once the work's been carried out, obviously everything will be signed off. Has to be signed off by the supervisor.
Keith, normally what do you mention in this kind of forms? Like,
Well, it's just it's what you have is a basic, what's the same as a permit to work. So once you've got the permit and once you've done the job, you have to sign the job off to say it's been done perfectly or been done without any injuries or dangerous occurrences. Once that's signed off, we both agree, and obviously to say what's actually happened. So
is it kind of closure?
Yes, it is very similar. Yeah. You're just saying that, yes, the job was carried out. It was carried out in a certain amount of time. It was satisfactory, and there's proof that the job was done. And normally they will say you was on site for instance, for 2 hours. But the thing is, at the end of the day, safety before profit. It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. And the key thing about it is the jobs are done in such a way that everyone it comes to work in one piece and goes home in one piece. And the whole idea of it is a control piece of work from the point person to the crane supervisor.
Yes.
And taken from there, so every man understands what his roles are during the requirements.
Oh yes, this is also the problem as well, because I've had people trying to what I find is there's probably 4 or 5 people there that want to do the slinging at the same time.
Yep.
So what I tend to do is, again, when I'm training people, what I'll do, I'll walk up to the driver, I'll give him the controls that I want. So obviously jib out, jib in, and obviously jib out, jib in, yeah. Each, can you see these ones? Yeah. And then what I find is I'll tell the operator that during the test or during the application, I'm going to do an emergency stop, because a lot of people think this is an emergency stop, and obviously it's 2 hands. Yes. So I do emergency stop, and I just sit back and wait for an explanation, because I would probably say 9 people out of 10 I train, I've never ever used an emergency stop. And the realistic side of it, it's a bit like a horn. When do you use a horn? In an emergency, really, isn't it? But if you go up the motorway night time, you probably wouldn't use a horn. So lights would. So you've got to justify what you're doing and what you're saying, and both you and the crane driver or the crane operator must be working from the same signals. You've all got to be singing from the same hymn book, which is obviously extremely important. So I tend to give the people emergency stop. The slingers or the banksmen are standing there looking as if, what's going on? Why is he stopped? You know, they're not looking at me. They're only looking at the crane driver. Well, the objective of who can give emergency stop? Anybody. Because it normally means that I've seen something that you haven't. So does everybody know the signals for slinging? I presume you've got them, James, sorted?
Oh, it's all sorted, buddy, all sorted.
Yeah. And I always give a copy of these out as well to the lads. But, you know, I don't know. A lot of the times, that means everything. It means cup of tea time, lift it up, take it down, because they're not getting clear signals. And most of the time now, I just use a radio, because it's put it on the channel. The crane drivers shouldn't be touching it. All he should do is be listening to it. What do you think to that one then, James? Or you do
the key understanding is the crane operator does not slew, jib, hoist, do any motion unless he has been instructed by the person controlling the load, and that would be the banksman. So he's the only person he listens to at any time during the lifting operation.
Yes, exactly the same. Yeah, I'm the same as that. But you'll get 3 or 4 people trying to do the same job as them. Everybody wants to be a slinger when they're not qualified. So I'm saying that, you know, the inching sign it means everything, because they only know one sign, and it becomes scary.
Yep, it truly does.
Yeah, definitely. So realistically, now we can go through the accident side with me. When I'm investigating accident, there's 4 main things I'm looking for. The first thing, obviously, I'm looking for certification, and not only the certification, it's how long the certification, how long was the training done, and who's actually done it. And what I'm also looking for on that is a registration number, because obviously with a registration number you are traceable. The next thing I'm looking for is a thorough examination certificate of the equipment used. And the realistic side, if there's no thorough examination certificate, I'll put that straight down to the supervisor's fault, because he shouldn't be letting the training go ahead without it being there. The next thing I'm looking for is what were they lifting? Why would I want to know what they was lifting? Apart from James, somebody else come back to me, please. Why would I want to know what these people are lifting? What's so important about lifting?
So do you mean the object that you will
Yeah,
lift?
the object you're lifting. Why is it so important? Why would I want to know what you're looking for? Well, sorry, why would I want to know what you was lifting? What's so
So
important?
according to my experience, the first I will check the weight of the object that I want to lift, the
Definitely.
hooks, if I have enough hooks to lift,
Yes.
the what they call it, how good these hooks are.
Yeah.
Do these hooks can hold this weight or not? Is this crane
Yeah.
is
So also on the hooks, we're looking for obviously the SWL, aren't we? The safe working load.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is this crane is able to lift all this all this load or not?
Yeah. And what else would I be looking for? Why would I want to know what else she was lifting? Well, I've seen items in the past that have been lifted, and instead of lifting hooks, they are hooks for just taking the cover off. And people have put the wrong equipment into the wrong hooks, and they picked it up and it hit the floor. We also had a bit of a job down in Slough, where a bloke was lifting 1,500 kilos and it fell on his girlfriend's head, and she actually died of a 48-inch skull fracture. And that was absolutely horrendous. Absolutely. And he's ex-squaddy as well, James, by the way, ex-squaddy. Terrible, absolutely unbelievable. But also the reason I'm looking for or want to know what you was lifting is just in case it's caustic, or it might run into a drain and kill 30 ducks down the road, hazardous chemicals and all the rest that's going with it. When I was in Oman, a lorry came down the road, lost control, probably within 30, 40 meters of us, and actually tipped it over on the vehicle. He had two compressors, and one of them smashed in the side of the crane. How the crane didn't turn over was unbelievable. It was amazing. And I actually dragged the bloke out the window screen, the driver. But of course it wasn't his fault, you know. So I'm looking for examination certificate, who's actually done the training with a registration number, and how long the training was as well. Because you do get experienced operators with no certification, and you get novice, and a novice bloke needs obviously more training, or probably would need more training. Then I'm looking for a thorough examination certificate, and I'm also want to know what you was lifting, because obviously the SWL, whether the equipment was used right, and also what equipment was used. So things like slings against sharp metal products, was it protected, and all the rest of it that goes with it. And obviously, is it caustic, or is it poisonous, or whatever, in case it's spilt or gone down drains, etc. So they're the main things I'm looking for. And the first person I'm going to blame for all this is going to be the supervisor, because he shouldn't have let it go without it. There's no such thing as people not saying no. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this lift because it's dangerous. If it's not done right, then don't go ahead. End of story. There's no ifs or no buts. What's your feelings on that, James?
Oh, but yeah, keep on mute. Yep. exactly what you said. As long as we get the job done safely and start from start to beginning, get the job done safely.
And the thing is as well, costs don't even come into it, does it? It's got to be done right.
Safety first. Safety first.
It's got to be safety first. And again, depending on who you're talking to, what company there are out there, not all the time is it safety first. Oh no, just do it. Just get on with it. You know, it just sickens me. It really does. In fact, I'll walk away from it now. I'm too old to worry over it. You know what I'm saying? I'll just walk away from it. Find somebody else to do it. I can't be doing with it. Right. The other thing as well, or about it, excuse me, we might as well start talking about the health and safety at work. You do a lot of OSHA over there, don't you, as well? Or do you comply with the Health and Safety at Work Act more than OSHA?
Depends on the client. In Iraq and in Erbil, for example, the clients use they use the UK regulations depending on the client. We were actually over in Erbil last year, and we've trained to do the Health and Safety at Work Act. We're trained to Lola and Pure. Same in Basra, we do the same. And we've actually been over to Erbil for a couple of clients, and we actually used the UK standards to train people, so the guys understand that more than anything else.
I think personally the UK is the best standards in the world. I'm not being biased, but I think they are, because if it's used properly, there's not normally an accident or any consequences of it. So maybe just quickly run through the Health and Safety at Work Act while we're at it. The Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. It came out was produced by a gentleman called Lord Robins, and Lord Robins used to be chairman of the Coal Board, the National Coal Board in the UK. He then became, they asked him to do a report, and it was actually called the Robins Report. And that was 1970 that actually happened. In 1972, he came back and said, apathy at the top, apathy at the middle, and apathy at the bottom. And what apathy means in realistic terms, nobody gives, nobody cares, nobody bothers. And in 1974, he came back with the Health and Safety at Work Act. Well, should we do it properly and call it the Health and Safety at Work etc. Act? And the etc. bit means, in theory, they can add to and take away without having to tell anybody. And this is the only act definitely in the UK, where you could be prosecuted and you are guilty to proved innocent. So we've got all the main bits is Section 2, Section 7 and Section 8. Section 2 is a company's responsibility. So the company has a legal obligation under law to give you what's called adequate training and adequate information. What does adequate mean? What's adequate mean in your words, James?
Like it says, adequate. Make sure you have everything in place: risk assessment, lift plan, competent staff, trained staff.
But adequate
PPE, everything.
Adequate also means enough, doesn't it? Enough training, enough information where you're not going to get anybody injured. And then we've got what's called so far as is reasonably practicable. And that in realistic terms means you must do the job to the best of your ability. Well, if you've been trained and you've had the adequate side put into you, then realistically, the accident should stop. But can we stop every accident happening? I could.
Reasonably practicable.
Well, yeah, so far as practical is a good one. But the realistic side of it, can we stop every accident happening? Well, I could stop every accident happening. I'll wrap you all up in cotton wool and send you home. Then I could stop every accident. But would I get... Yeah, go on.
Yeah, true. I've just, one of the lads have actually put a comment there to the question you asked about, and we talked about lifting operations and what you need to know. And Nadia Ahmed had actually raised a very good point. He said, he talked about what is the weight to be lifted. And that's a very key thing. What is the weight to be lifted? It's a very poignant when it comes to lifting operations. So then what method are you going to use to lift it?
Yeah, but the other problem with that as well, if it hasn't got the weight on it, where do we go from there? We might have to go to the manufacturers. You might have to make an assessment, but God almighty, you know, how heavy is the chair? Is it 5 kilos or 10 kilos? And I know we're talking minimum amounts here, but if someone says 5 and then someone says 10, that's a 50% difference. So when somebody turns around and says, oh, it's 5 ton, but it's 15 ton, that's also 50% difference. So we need to know what the weight is before we even attempt to look at it. And that's important, very important. So yeah, I can understand what you're saying there. Unfortunately, I haven't got that up on my screen, but after maybe we can have a talk about it, you know, or they want to email. So the Health and Safety at Work Act, as I said, you know, the main bits of this is the company has a legal obligation to protect you, what's called so far as is reasonably practicable. There is another side to this, what's called absolute. And the absolute comes into things like ear defenders, because absolute means there's no limitation on the amount of money they spend on you to protect you. I can't justify £50,000 for a 2-minute job unless it's something to do with like radiation. And then the realistic side of it, you shouldn't have to put an amount of money on it, should you? You should just do it safely, regardless of what it costs. So there is a slight difference between obviously what's called so far as reasonably practical and absolute. Section 7 bit is the employees bit, and what they actually say is quite clearly is you must protect yourselves and others who may be affected by your acts or omissions. An act is something you do, an omission is something you fail to do. And they're both quite cantankerous, to be honest. I didn't check the weight, so that's something I haven't done. I didn't put the sling on properly, something I haven't done. Even on a forklift, I had the forks too high. I didn't lower them, something I haven't done. So whether you do it or don't do it, in the UK, you could be prosecuted. And the realistic side of it, that's what it's coming out now in most of the world. If you're working under the Act, you have to follow you have to be willing to face the consequences. Then you've got what's called Section 8, and Section 8 is quite important. What Section 8 states is nobody should not interfere with or misuse anything provided with the interest of health, safety, or welfare. Now, interfere with or misusing. Well, we all know how to misuse things, don't we? But do we know how to look after things? And what I mean by that is when you finish your slings, are the slings put back or the chains put back in the correct place? What tends to happen when I go around to some of these places, not all of them, but the chains are lying on the floor. And when they're lying on the floor, they become dirty, they become damp, the codes are wore off, and I presume again you're using the colour coding. Do you change yours every month or every 3 months, James? Hello? Are we still there?
Yeah, still here. Yeah, it depends on the client. Some of our clients have a case of use and bin. Some of our clients say it's 6 monthly, change them out. Yeah. And some say actually keep them going if they're good fit for purpose. So. Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. It does become difficult though, doesn't it? You know, same thing, if we could all sing from the same hymn book and do the same job, we shouldn't really have a problem.
Yep, exactly, buddy.
But the trouble is they don't. Everybody has their own little ways and all the rest of it. And the realistic side of it, I can't remember off the top of my head what it says under the BS 7121, but I just go for that. And I'll just quite clearly point out, safest way of doing it, let's do it this way. And if it's, oh, no, we can't do it, tell you what, I'll be more happy if you could find somebody else to do it. I don't want to get involved. I really don't anymore. Right, I'm going to try and put a quick film on, which is inspection of slings for you. So bear with me, because if it doesn't come up clear, you'll have to tell me, but it should come up quite good. So I'm just going to swap a laptop over for you on this one. Can everybody see that laptop now? Yes?
You have to get rid of yeah, if you're just showing another laptop, but the problem at the moment is your last video is still on display.
Right, okay, let me just dump that out then. Sorry about that. Let me just put this one out, sorry. These are a little bit of trial and error, aren't they, unfortunately, but we'll just try and get rid of that one now. Oh God, where do I go from here now?
So if you go up to your top right-hand corner, you've got your X, so you could close that one down because you don't want us to see that one anymore.
Sorry, yeah, I'm just trying to, just hang on a second, mate. Where are we going?
So if you look at the video you just showed, there's a big X in the top right-hand side there. If you shut that one down.
Yeah, I can't get at it because it's I can't get at the X. That's the problem.
Okay.
Just hang on 1 second. I'll try and move stuff over. Is that better? Is that gone now?
Still, no, it's still there, buddy. It's still there.
Yeah, it's not
So
there.
see that shared screen at the bottom. You unclick that shared screen. That should go away, buddy.
Film with everything else. Yeah.
Just double click on your cam. Will be provided.
Yeah, hang on. I've got it now. I've got it. Yeah. Has that got it now? That's got away. Yeah.
That's better. Yep, that's better.
Right. Can you see this other? Can you see the other film? This one now. You have a laptop?
Yeah, but not very clearly, buddy. Not very clearly.
Right. Let me try and move it over that way a bit. How's that look?
Yeah, it's still too far away. You won't be able to see that properly. You won't be able to see that image, and we won't be able to have
just hang on. Yeah. How's that now?
No, I can see parts of it, and I can only see the first 3 inches of the screen.
Sorry.
I see the word inspection only.
Yeah. Okay. So that it's just a real. What I might do with this one, if you like, is I'll get this on a copy for you and send it to you.
Yep. Okay.
Because it's a real good film. Basically, again, it's HSC one, but it's got some a lot of well, I've got a lot of HSC stuff, but it tells you obviously about selecting the right equipment, how you do it, how to store it, looking after it, inspections, whether the vehicle, whether it's stretched. There's so much on it, it's unbelievable. There's loads and loads. Right, what do you want to talk about now then? Somebody come back with some questions for me. Apart from James, you've done most of the talking. No offence, but anybody else got any questions there?
Sir,
Sure.
could you?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kewan.
Ahmed, go. Okay. Would you please go in a chronological steps, like if you want to establish a plan for lifting, what will be the site condition that you will take into consideration while doing your plan?
The site conditions I'll take into account if I'm obviously working a plan. The first thing is the ground itself, so the realistic side of it. What's under the ground? Also on that, is there any been work carried out in the last few months? Because that obviously can make the ground soft. Yeah. Who I'm using when the people come on site. Normally a lot of this goes on experience, and what I mean by that is people tend to use the same people over and over again. Anybody who comes on site, overhead cables, have they got their own risk assessment? Who's doing your risk assessments? Is that K1?
It's me. Yeah, it's me.
Yeah. Who does your risk assessments for you?
It is my HSE supervisor over there.
Right. Okay. So if he's give you a risk assessment, do you get a chance to change it yourself or alter it in any way, shape, or form?
Well, yeah, usually we can do that. We can do that if the permission is if I've been given the risk assessment, then before giving the permission to do that, I can change the condition. Sure.
Yeah. So you've got a generic one, or is it just set out?
I got the generic one.
A generic one, so you can add to and take away accordingly. Yeah.
Sure. If I have something, so I can give him, or I can change something on the condition, or I can add him something that he will request to change the thing that he's predicting that will be risky.
Yeah. Well, obviously, again, that's obviously important. I've also had it in the past where people have brought risk assessments to me, and all they've done is copied it. They just do a copy one, and then bring it on site. And I've said to them, the basics are there. You've either particular machinery. So the first thing I would do if I'm going to hire a piece of machinery is ask them to send some information over. Who's going to do the lifting? What machine do I need? How many meters am I lifting? Also, where I'm lifting, are there any overhead cables? Are the people around? What PPE do I need? Well, standard PPE was obviously gloves, goggles, maybe a hard hat, boots, high-vis jacket, etc. Make sure the people who are doing the slinging are competent in what they're doing. So I'd want to see certification for that, because at the end of the day, if I've got this information in front of me, half the problems have already gone away. And what I mean by that is the consequences of the less people on site, the better. So you need adequate people on site. Don't overreact on it. Make sure the people are competent in themselves. So as long as the ground entrance also is important. What time of day or night are we going to do the lifting? That's also important, because obviously at night time there's a little bit more danger. Or do you not work nights? Or
Yeah,
On the site we work 24/7.
yeah, you do. So yours obviously changes continuously, doesn't it?
Yep. So for example, when we were doing a land rig move in June, it was 54 degrees heat.
Yeah.
In the middle of Ramadan. So you're having to you think of every aspect for well-being, health, diet, fluids, and then on night time, it went down to virtually nothing.
Yeah. Well, I think the last time I was in Oman, we were in Iraq. Not last time before that, I was working at the gas fields, and it was 52, and I'm on 30 foot up in the air at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So again, you know, it's what I call it, horses for courses. Whatever you need, there shouldn't be a question in it. You've got to look at each situation. Like I said, you know, is it in the afternoon? Is it morning? Is it night time? Who's doing it? How many people on site? What you actually lifted? So the more information you can get together, this should, in theory, stop any chance of any accidents happening, shouldn't it? But again, who's the supervisor?
You're talking to me, sir?
Yeah, K-Wad. So you'll be the supervisor, yes?
Being the supervisor, yeah.
Lovely. So K-Wad, let me ask you a quick question. If it goes wrong,
yes.
who am I going to blame?
If it didn't go well, I would blame myself.
No. Who am I going to blame if it goes wrong?
My construction manager should.
No, I'll blame you. I'll blame you, K-Wad.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Blame me. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, 3 years in prison is a long time. Maybe, I don't know.
You're right. Yeah. I had a condition. I've been given like a credit from my construction manager. Like, if I finished my building before the beginning of the month, he would have given me like day off. Like, for example, if I finish it on 25th of the month, I would be going home back for 5 days. And I had a lot of panels to put in place regarding forming and these stuffs. Then I got the crane from one of our subcontractors actually, and he has been giving me like an operator actually who doesn't have the PPE, the proper PPE, and I was doing a very critical, let's say a very critical with aluma beam system, and you know all of this stuff. And I have like a concrete wall up of 5 meter height, you know. And then they gave it to me, that crane, and he was without the certificate and the operator without PPE, and let's say the site conditions were really terrible, and I had a rainy season, and then taking into consideration all of these stuff, I actually didn't left anything, and it was really crucial for me to finish that last pour that I need to put my panels in place, you know? Then what actually I decided, I just called the subcontractor and I told them, well, if you change this crane immediately, I would accept it. But if you don't change it, I'm not gonna do it actually. And for this particular condition, actually, I got a certificate from my construction manager that I follow all the rules of the company regarding the safety and this stuff. And to be honest, because of that stuff, I was behind my schedule of 2 days because of that. Yeah, because of that thing actually.
But this is also the problem. I've had it in the past. Companies have turned around, oh, that should take you, 5-6 hours, and then it's running to the next day. Oh, what about the cost? There ain't no cost, because at the end of the day, we need to do it properly. So the realistic side of it is, if I can't do it properly, then don't involve me, because I just don't want to know. I get to the point in life, I'm 63 years old now. A couple of years from now, I'll hopefully retiring. And when I retire, I want to be able to live my life out for a long time. I don't want people dropping stuff on me. I don't want cranes tipping over. I don't want equipment falling. I don't want people injured. Because also at the end of the day, I have to live with this. And I won't do it. I won't do it. I've been extreme. Whether I've been extremely lucky or whether it's been done properly, touch wood, so I'm now touching my head, nothing has ever happened. And that's the way I want it. If I don't think it's safe, then it just won't be done. End of story. No ifs, no buts. I just won't.
Safety first. Safety first.
That's good, sir. Sir, if you have time, I have 3 questions.
Yes, of course, go ahead.
First point is that, can you please mention the standards of the wind speed in case of lifting operations? Second one is the one time I was doing the lifting operation, and there was a raining and there was thunders. So do you have any standard for that? The third point. So wind speed, thunder, and another point is that I heard from the lifting operation team. Last time I was working in the oil field, they told me that they want to change the rings, let's say the chain, and they want to use instead the rope, but the tight one, because it's not easy to check the chain ring by ring. So the rope will be easier to be tested.
Right. Okay, let's start at the beginning. First of all, if we've got thunder, the chances are we've also got lightning. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you've got lightning and you are was this on a mobile crane or?
No, it was not a mobile. Let's say it was the 50-ton.
Yeah, so it's a mobile crane and you are lifting stuff with lightning and thunder. You've got to look at the logic side of it. The chances of it striking, I should imagine, was obviously increased. So have you taken that into account? Then you've also got the things where you have the damp. If it's raining with that, then the ground's going to be soft. So did you take that into account?
No, actually, it was at spring. So
so what's your responsibility within your company?
They just stopped the operation.
Yeah.
They say that we are aware of what they call the thunders.
Yeah.
But the floor condition was okay because it was already a backfilled area. It was not a nature area. It was already backfilled.
Yeah,
so
but if it's raining, would it become soft?
No, because it was a backfilled with that material that had no problem with the water. It was not that heavy raining, but there was a lot of thunders.
Yeah, but you don't just get thunder, you get lightning and thunder together.
Yeah.
Personally, I would have stopped it at that point because of the thunder. The wind speed, you use a thermometer for that. So you've got the wind speed, and also the crane will have a built-in wind indicator as well, will it not?
Yeah, there was a wind indicators.
And obviously, if that goes out, it'll cut everything anyway, won't it?
No, it didn't. But one day I have seen a post. It was mentioning the standards of the wind. If you have, for example, if you have a 30 kilometer per hour, the wind speed,
Yeah,
you cannot.
yeah. Well, the thing is, it's built into the machinery anyway. But a Bowman scale you can use. Have you not got a Bowman scale there? Which is what you hold up in the air. There's one built into the crane already.
Ah, sorry, I didn't check that.
Yeah. James, sorry, are you there? Yeah. No,
yeah,
James.
I'm here, buddy. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
here.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to explain about the Bowman scale to us. That they will have you have an indicator, don't you? Do you use just the one on the crane, or have you got your own as well?
So guys, when it comes to wind speed with cranes, the first thing you look at is a manufacturer's recommendation and guidance of what is the maximum wind speed for that crane.
Yeah, that's
Depending on what location you are, you'd also have a look at what the operating procedure on your company. So for example, if you're looking at a crane for, like I say, a tower crane, for example, under the Construction Plant Association agreements, the maximum wind speed a tower crane can operate in the UK is 38 miles per hour, which is 16.5 meters per second.
Yeah.
But that also depends on the load. So when you're looking at lifting operations, so example, I started off in constructions, and if you're lifting shutters, like commandos or panels to go onto buildings, then if you look at the size of the panel, the height of the panel, and how that would be affected with the wind also. And people think the wind is only at one height, but it's actually, the wind is actually taken from the top of the jib, not where you're standing.
Yeah, but the cranes haven't built in.
Some do. No, in the Middle East they don't actually. A lot of the Middle East they don't have them built in at all. It's an additional
right.
product in the Middle
Yeah,
East.
all the ones I've come across there, they've all had them built in. But they have a Bowman scale anyway, which they can hold up obviously and take the wind. The other thing that I tend to look at, and it's different in the UK, if the top of the trees are starting to move a lot, then also don't forget at this point, then if the trees are moving, then whatever you're lifting is going to be moving. And also there's tunnel effect as well, isn't there? Trying to explain what the tunnel effect is. And the realistic side, there's another one where you lift the side of the building, and as soon as it gets to the top of the building, the wind speed's going to increase because the building's protecting it. So all these factors need to be taken into account.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you okay with that then, Mohammed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's no problem. What you need to do at the end of the day is also, if you're not sure, then just stop the job, because it's just not worth the risk. It really isn't. If you look at the tops of trees, if the tops of the trees are moving, then the chances are is when you lift anything in the air, that's going to be moving as well. But we also have what's called, I was just trying to explain, the tunnel effect. So it's wide at one end and narrow at the other, and the wind will build up. So when you get to the bottom of the tunnel, there's a greater increase of wind speed. So, we need to take that into account as well. But also, if you're lifting the side of a building, the second it clears the building, the increase will be there as well. Do you tie stuff off on this or not? Or don't you bother? Or do you depend on what you're doing? Put the safety line on it.
Yeah, actually the client stopped the operation.
Yeah. Yeah, and rightly so. So what's your position?
I'm the project engineer.
So the client stopped it. So did you not want to put a stop to it or give them advice or?
Actually, I'm working with the local companies, and they are not easy to deal with. So, you get my point.
I do understand what you're saying. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of it. The realistic side of this is they want it doing regardless of what's actually happening. So they want it doing because they'll give you a cost.
Yeah, and also the justifications are very hard to be made for your managers if you're working in local one.
Yeah. So the realistic side of it, they wanted that doing no matter what they was thinking about. They had no intention of stopping it in realistic terms, did they? They just wanted it done.
Yeah, you know, sir, in the last seconds of your last video that you were mentioning is that the safety first, then the profit.
Exactly.
What the local companies care about is that the profit first.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This is the problem. The realistic side of it, because, and I'm trying to be political correctly here. Sometimes where you go, if somebody dies in a factory, well, let me give you an example. I had a Chinese company, and I was doing some training for a Chinese company. So I said to the director, what happens if somebody dies? And do you know what his answer was? Come on, somebody come back and say.
He just what they told you.
I'll tell you what he said to me.
Yeah.
He said,
You're gonna do a funeral only.
no, what he actually
No. China turn around and say to you, it's okay, do not worry, we have the money to pay the family.
not quite, but
Well,
very close. What he actually said to me, if somebody dies, so I said to him, what happens if somebody dies? And he went, you replace him. So you just bring somebody else in. It's not a problem.
No problem. They have a lot.
Yeah. And also, let me give you a little example. 3 years ago, I was asked to go and do some work in South Sudan. Have you been out there, James, around that area?
I've been a lot of African countries, yeah. So
Yeah. Well, I had a contract for 5 months in South Sudan. So I put the price in, and they came back to me about a week after, and they said, can you reconsider the price? And I said, no, not at all. I've given you a price, we've agreed on it, and that's end of story. And do you know what they said to me? It's cheaper to let them die than you come out and train them. That was their official words. No, we can't afford to train them because it's cheaper to let them die. Now, if you're working for a company like that, why do you need to work for a company like that? That's just phenomenal, isn't it?
That's why what I mentioned is that they don't care. So
no,
my mission there was to keep people safe.
Yeah,
and that's it.
But Hamid, how can you keep people safe if they don't care? This is the problem. How can you keep people safe if they've just put this limited amount of money in just to do a job? They're not worried about you. They're not worried about anybody else. And this is the problem. It's back. Probably James will come back to me on this. It's educating them from the top. You've got to educate the people. If a manager or a supervisor realises he can go to prison for 5 years, then they tend to listen. But sometimes it takes a long time for them to understand it, because money comes first, profits, money and profits are first, safety second.
But sir, if you don't have clear regulation and you don't have a very strict law on that, then these people they're not going to be blamed at all. So, for example, for instance, if I would be correct, a couple of years ago, a building was building in front of me, and then I've heard about that the shutter actually they were building a slab, and on the fifth or sixth floor, if I'm not mistaken, in my city, actually, and two workers that actually it has been very let's say it was building in a very poor way, and the firm actually collapsed due to the heavy load while pouring the concrete on top. So a couple of workers they died due to that accident. And I've heard that the contractor who has doing that, actually, he just paid the family something, and then nobody blame him. Nobody blame him. But do we really think as human that the life of these people can be substituted by an amount of money for their family? Is that the correct way to resolve these issues?
No, of course it's not.
Of course it's not, right? Yeah. Nothing can substituting the life of these people.
No,
And
exactly.
what about the children? What about the family? What about all
Exactly.
these stuff? Well, what I would blame actually in this situation is the role supposed to be very strict and clearly stated, and everybody's supposed to be binding to this law, and they're supposed to be get blamed, as you said. For example, they're supposed to go to the jail if something happens like that. So everybody will stick, and everybody will go according to the line, and nobody will dare even to pass that line. That's what I'm thinking actually. So for in our case, actually, while we're working in Kurdistan, I think you have been also in here, all due to these policies, the local company that they are following. I think the best thing that we can do as supervisors and engineers on the side, we can educate at least the workers who they are doing the side, the workmanship.
Yes.
If you don't agree to do this risky job, then the company will be obliged to do it in a better way.
Yes, but the thing is as well, you see, if every company agreed and worked to a standard like ISO 9000 or 9002, whichever it's going to be, if every company worked to that standard, then if I called you over and turned around and said, right, I want this doing, and you said to me, are you ISO 9000? And I said, no, why would you deal with me? So a lot of it is education. You've got to educate the people in the first place. Once you educate people, they will pass it on. But yeah, it's working to a standard. So Citadel will get up to the standard. They work to a standard, and if you work to standard and everybody else works to standard, then the chances are the accident is obviously greatly reduced. I mean, I can give you a few facts now. In the UK on building sites, there's an estimated now about 25,000 accidents a year. That's reported accidents. Yeah. How many go unreported? And then if you take office and shops, it's around about 55,000, because in an office and a shop, they have a little cut on their finger, they wrap it up in a plaster, but they also report it. Most people working on building sites, they just wrap a bit of masking tape or a plaster on, and they don't report it. So the increase can become more vulnerable because people are reporting the accidents rather than not reporting them. And once you've started to report things, you can get statistics. When you look at the statistics, you can turn around and say, we've had 25 blokes die because the way you're lifting or the way that you're moving stuff. And the realistic side of it, I don't want to be part of that 25. As I said, I go to work with 10 fingers and 10 toes. If I can't come home with 10 fingers and 10 toes, then I don't want to go to work. What do you feel about that then, James? Or Kaywa, while we were there?
Hey, you just got to go do what you do. You have to set up the right systems in place so everybody's going the right forward.
So you're working all to the same standard.
Yep.
And if we all work to the same standard, and it's education now, isn't it? Do you not agree on that? Because they've got away with it for so long, they tend to carry on doing it.
Agreed, buddy. Agreed.
Yeah. So
I do agree too.
Yeah, lovely. I mean, again, so at least 3 of us here are talking the same language. So the realistic side of it, the 3 of us together, we should all be safe, shouldn't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
But this is the problem with any job you're doing. The biggest problem with lifting is the only way it can go is down. It can't go up. It's impossible to go. It's impossible for it to go up. It can only come down. And if you're in an area and it hits you, the chances are is you're going to be seriously injured or die. And I don't want to pick up the pieces. I've actually, in the past, I actually held the bloke's hand while he died. And believe you me, it's not good. It's not good. It was horrible. And then the company I was working for actually told me to go back to work. I actually went home and I didn't get out of bed for 2 days. But, when it comes to that, and I say I held a bloke's hand while he died, no, not good. And I'll quickly tell you what happened. About a ton of metal hit him on the back of the head and folded in half. We waited for the ambulance and the police and everything else to turn up. And I was talking to him. Unfortunately, he was also French, and my French is very limited. But I was just talking to him. And the realistic side of it, what he actually died of was it had folded him in half. So I'm just trying to think of what the word now is. But basically, the blood in his legs had clotted that much. By the time the ambulance driver got to him, all they did was stick ketamine into his arm. And they said, talk to him. I said, but I don't talk French. No, just talk to him. And I talked to him, and they just waited for him to die, because if they'd have released him, he would have died anyway. So they just made him comfortable. Not good, not good. Have you come across anything like that, James, or anybody else?
Yeah, I've been on a few jobs when people's died, so I understand that.
It's not good, is it? Not good at all. No. I was also in rugby, a big company called Rugby Cement, huge company. And we had a bloke there, they were putting some scaffolding up, and it slung to the side and cut the bloke in half. HSE just closed the site down, and we was there for about 5 hours. But it's not good. If that happened, I don't want to do it anymore. You know, I'm too old for it. I don't know how you feel, James. You just get to the point.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, if it's not done. Anybody else had any problems with that, with people injured on site?
I'm gonna ask if to see if the other participants have any question or something.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, let them ask the questions, because I think we are getting close to the final, like the last minutes of the webinar. So that's fine. let them ask their questions if anybody.
Yeah, and if they can't think of anything now, if they emailed you and then you just drop me an email, and you know, we could do it that way. James, what I'll do, if you drop in your email, I'll put them films on the disc for you and send them out for you.
Actually, Keith, don't worry if you just share whatever you want to share with participants. If you just send them over to me, I can. Yeah, because an automatic email gonna go to all the participants by the end of the webinar, so I can include all these materials or whatever you want to share. I can. Yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Yeah,
James, do you want some couple of films?
Yeah, by all means. Yep, stick them on. They'll be handy.
I've probably got about 5 or 6 on. I've got a couple of HSE films here as well. So what I'll do is I'll do a copy for you.
Yep.
If he'll give you my email or whichever way you want it, and then we'll just sort it that way.
Yeah, Razal will sort it out. He's him and I work together anyway, so.
Yeah, no problems at all. But what else do you do, James? Anything in particular, or is it just lifting?
Oh, I do everything, buddy. I do everything.
What do you want films on? Anything in particular?
No, just send what you've got. A couple of things that what you've got is fine, buddy. I actually going to be working with Raza, like so. Yeah, go on. Yep. Confined space be quite good. So Raz and I work quite closely about potential business together. So
okay, no worries at all. All right, I'll drop a few over for you, matey.
Excellent, thank you very much indeed.
Okay, has anybody else got any questions, or do we want to email?
I have the last one. I want to use this minutes. Can you please just give us a quick, to tell us about the signals during the lifting operation?
Yeah, of course. Right. There's hand signals. What I tend to do before we do anything else, I'll walk up to the crane operator. The signals are set, but the realistic side of it is, like I said before, everybody thinks they're a banksman, and you'll be doing some signals, and then somebody else will be trying to do. So only one person does the signals. They are better to be done verbally by walkie-talkie, but the signals themselves. So we've got, can you see that one? Stop. Hand up. Yes.
Yep, all seen, buddy. Yep.
Yeah. That one there. James, give me a clue. What's it saying? 2 hands up. It's not stop, is it?
It's emergency stop.
It's emergency stop. So without you, James, getting involved, who can give an emergency stop sign? Everybody, come back to me, apart from James. Who can give an emergency stop sign?
Maybe we just shut to the operator that stop it.
No, not quite.
No.
He might not hear you. Right.
Crossing your arm.
Right. That's emergency stop sign. Anybody can give an emergency stop sign. Anybody. And the realistic certainly, an emergency stop sign normally means that they've seen something that you haven't. Okay, so anybody can give an emergency stop sign. Then we've got lower, up. Do you see that? Jib out, jib in, lower, raise, take the hook up, down. James, you do the inching one as well or not?
Yeah, so what I'll do is to help everybody out, Raza, I will send you an email with all the hand signals so you can distribute them to everybody.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll send you mine as well, James. So
yeah, also I can take care of it. Don't worry. I have a full list of hand signals actually. I can share it with you.
I think I sent last time I was over there. I think I gave you them, didn't I?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I have it. I have it.
So if you want to share them out, that'll be good.
Yeah, don't worry. Anything you want to share with people, just ask me. I will share it. Don't worry.
No worries. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else got any questions?
Nope, good, thank you. Thanks very much indeed.
No problem, James. Catch you later. Take it easy. I'm sure you will, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Okay. All okay. Yeah.
Thank
take it easy. Yeah. Nice to see you all. All right. Take it easy. I'm going to clock off now.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for joining. On behalf of Citadel Academy, I wish you a very, very good day. I hope that everybody took some benefits from this webinar. Thank you, Keith. Thank you for putting your time. James, I'm gonna thank you especially because thanks, you participated in this webinar and you shared so many information. Thank you.
Yeah,
and Keith, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The problem is, you know what? Just quickly before we go, the problem is sometimes when you're doing things like this, people feel nervous and embarrassed to get involved. It doesn't matter. You know, if you do one in the future, don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, it's nothing drastic. If you ask, then people will tell you.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, we're gonna run such a similar webinar in the future, maybe in the near future.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we will have another one. And thank you, everybody.